media, and you all know what social media is. You all use it all the time. But the academic definition, social media is generally defined as any website or application that enables users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. That's one definition. Another one is social media is the facilitation of interactive, connected marketing purposes at organisational, peer-to-peer and personal levels. So that's how that's a sort of definition of how it can be used for digital marketers. It basically means that each business doesn't have to start from scratch when it comes to trying to reach their potential customers. Quite a substantial murmur going on, especially around the back of the room. Thank you. Okay, so social media marketing. Social media has become a very, very powerful digital marketing tool. So originally, social media was more formed as literally a way for people to network with other people, but it has over time become a very, very, very powerful tool that brands have developed techniques for interacting with customers. The interactions that customers or potential customers have with brands on social media can be measured as long as you use the tools that allow you to do so. So we'll talk about some of those tools, we'll explore some of them later on. And it's also very useful for market research, finding out what customers want and how they feel about certain topics, services or products. So basically, social media marketing uses social media, social networks to reach customers, engage with customers that they already have, and to market their products and services. It's not owned media. It is it's a platform that brands don't have to pay to be on, but they also don't own it. Can we have some quiet, please? I know this is like the post lunch break. There's more chatting than there was this morning. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So what makes social media marketing so powerful is, as it says here, the unparalleled capacity of social media in 3 core marketing areas: connection, interaction, and also customer data, getting that data from the customers. And it really has transformed the way that businesses can influence consumers. So promoting content and getting personal data out of people. People are very willing to share information on social media that you wouldn't normally share with brands, but brands can access that data. And social media is a big success. Is there anyone in this room who doesn't use social media at all? Is anyone going to stick their hand up and say they do not use it? Good. You should all be on LinkedIn at the very least. But yes, so it would be completely mad of businesses to not be on some form of social media. So this is, we've had this, the equivalent report for the internet as a whole. So this is specific to social media use. So the number of internet users was something around like 5.12 billion, and the number of social media users is quite close to that. It's 4.76 billion, which is 59.4% of the total population of the world. It's increasing. We'll see more on the next slide about that. So 77.8%, so 59.4% of the total population use social media, but when we boil that down to adults, so people who are 18 plus, it's actually 77.8%. Obviously a lot of social networks, well, some social networks don't even let, well, technically under 18s, but also under 16s or under 13s, depending on the network, use their platforms. 92.3% of internet users are also social media users, and slightly more social media users are male than female. And this one's an interesting one. On average, people use 7.2 social media networks each month, which is a lot of different platforms that people are using. Spending 2.5, so we had, I think it was 6.5 hours, the average time spent on the internet as a whole. During the day, social media is on average 2.5 hours. Obviously for digital marketeers, you'll be spending a lot more time than that on social media. So this is showing the growth in the number of social media users over the time. It's quite similar to the growth of internet users in general. But you can see that 11 years ago, it was 1.7 billion, now 4.7. So the growth has been absolutely huge. And I'm sure for you, for people your age, it must feel like social media has always been as ubiquitous as it is now almost, or at least in some form. But for me, like when I was at university doing my degree, we didn't have any social media at all. And I think Friendster, which was an old one, that sort of appeared after I graduated from university. So like it's happened very, very quickly. Although I am old, but it has happened very quickly how our lives have been completely changed by social media. So this is just showing the share of different ages of people using social media. So the main group are 20 to 29-year-olds. So if your business is targeting 20 to 29-year-olds, then without a doubt social media is going to be a very good way to get to your audience. But it's also reaches across all the age groups, just not to the same extent. And this shows how that time has increased on social media. So when you go back 10 years, when there was not everyone was on social media, and also the different types of social media platforms in existence. We didn't have TikTok where you just keep on scrolling and scrolling for hours. The time was less than it's gone up, but it'll probably continue to grow. Although maybe it's plateaued. So this is the amount of time that people spend using social media as a percentage of their total time spent using the internet. So you can see that young women, so 16 to 24-year-old females spend more time on social media as a share of the total internet time than any of the other groups. And in general, apart from until you get to 55 to 64, that gender split happens all the way through, which is quite interesting. I think there are probably lots of psychological studies about why that is that women spend more time on social media than men. I think that's probably fairly as expected. Okay, so these are as of January 2023, and these do change, as you're about to see. These are the world's most used social platforms. And Facebook is way up there with 2.9 billion users. It's pretty incredible to have one platform that has that many users in the world. And I think if you told people at the start of the World Wide Web that there'd be one website that 2.9 billion people use actively, that would have been completely mind-blowing to people. So yes, we've got Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp. This is global. So Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, WeChat, TikTok. And then it actually splits down like Facebook into Messenger as well, and things like that. So these are, when you're thinking about which platforms to focus on, it is thinking about where your users are. And obviously, if you were doing business in China, you would. So when I worked at the University of Bradford and I was in the marketing team, we had a lot of business in China. We were trying to get students in China, and we had a campus there. So we had to do a lot of work on WeChat and Weibo and Weibo as well. So it's about being where your customers are and understanding where they are. But things do change, and as digital marketers, you have to keep on top of what's going on. So I think this is quite a nice illustration of how that landscape has changed over the years. This goes back, so we go back to 2003, the start of this. So yeah, QQ. Has anyone heard of QQ? No. I haven't until I watched this, to be honest.
It's probably China.
Yes, I think it's Chinese, yeah. So have a look at how these are changing over. So Friendster, that was the one that I used when I graduated from university. Classmates was pretty much just in America, I think. So go.
What you talk about them?
See, YouTube starting to sneak up. I can't imagine a world without YouTube now, but at one stage it didn't exist. There's Facebook starting to go. So in 2007, Facebook became public to the world, and then very quickly made its way up. And here's Twitter, just starting out as well. It's appearing now. And then QQ was at the top for so long, and then QQ is disappearing.
Falling behind.
I was also on MySpace, probably got rid of my account around this time.
What's that? Used to still have a girl.
And Facebook just keeps growing and growing and growing. It hasn't reached 1 billion yet. Has anyone heard of Qzone either? I haven't heard of Qzone. No. I tend to assume that any of that I haven't heard of are probably from China.
What's that?
Yeah, WhatsApp is really growing at this point.
Hey, Pinterest.
Oh, Pinterest. Also look at
So it's quite stable right now. Then there was this, Vine was like a very short video app for a little while, so it appeared, but then it's going to disappear again, gone. And Instagram is really starting to go up now, so this is when Instagram started to gather its users.
WeChat.
And there's TikTok. There we go. Here it comes. I was thinking, there's definitely another one. There's another one that's going to come. I couldn't remember what it was. It's TikTok.
TikTok thì một hiệu có sai tiếng.
Bạn có dùng Telegram chưa?
Then TikTok goes back down again. Facebook bought Instagram, and that's when it kind of exploded again. It got a lot more money and went back up into a growth mode. So there we go. That was the changing landscape of social media. There's a poll here which I'd really like you to fill out. But yes, I think that something like that, where you see how the landscape has changed over the years, it's really important to see that things change. They can change very, very quickly. So at the beginning of social media, there was lots and lots and lots and lots of change, while platforms established themselves and some disappeared. As you saw in that chart, it got much more stable. So in recent years, it's been much more stable. But then when TikTok started really shooting up the ladder, that was huge. I don't know if anyone might have seen that also the US has now passed a law that's going to either ban TikTok or make them get new ownership. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects users. But yeah, so please give us a go, because it'd be really interesting to see what your main reasons for using social media are. There's no right or wrong reasons for using social media.
Is the multi-answer question or just one answer?
I think you should be able to answer multi.
No.
Oh, is it not?
Not multi.
Okay.
Select one thing. Hiện tại đừng bấm vào.
Right, I will briefly go out of it and edit it so you'll be able to do more.
Tại nó chỉ cho một đáp án đấy. Why is only one? Sao nó chỉ cho?
I think it's not going to let me add it, sadly, so we will end up sticking at it. I'll do oh yeah, there we go. Right. Now you should be able to select more than one.
Edit is small.
Okay, let's get more. There's been 14 so far. There's a lot more of you. So when you're getting like market research answers, when you're finding out what people want, you need like a representative balance of your different segments. But generally, more is better. So especially in circumstances like this, where you're one big segment. It only has value if you all or nearly all of you do this. So we've had 17 people so far. I want some more. I want some more answers to get some meaningful results. Come on, let's get some more. There's definitely more than 21 of you in the room. I want at least least one more and then I'm going to move on. So come on, at least one more answer here. Let's get one. I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to sit down until we get at least one more person. There we go, we've had one more person. Okay. Feel free to, it would be good if you all still carry on and answer more. Let me grab it on here so I can see the results. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is to see how this compares to the wider research as a whole. So what we've got, the two main tied reasons that we've got are keeping in touch with friends and family and filling spare time. There's certainly two that I selected. And then we've got finding inspiration for things to do and buy, following celebrities or influencers, posting about your life. Oh, and it's all changed. You see, you just get one more response and it all changes. So it's good. More, right. So yes, now keeping in touch with friends and family has made it to the top. So let's see what the global main reasons are for using social media and how it compares. So globally, oh, it makes it disappear, that's a shame, isn't it? So same top answer, staying in touch, keeping in touch with friends and family, and the same second answer, filling spare time. What we didn't have really in this group, I can't actually, let me go back to it so I can see where reading news stories were. So I don't think that we had reading news stories appearing at all really. Yeah, that was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 down. So globally, that's the third one. And finding content, which is very similar. Seeing what's being talked about, posting about your life. Interestingly, for you, that was quite high up, but globally, it comes quite low down. I don't know if that's one of those things where people don't like to admit that they're posting about their life, but we obviously do post about our life on social media. Also, watching live streams is much higher in the general population than it was here, and sports. So I have another group of students where that would have been right up the top. It would have been like the third one, would have been watching and following sports. So it depends on the segment of your audience. So these things can change depending on who the people you're targeting is. But it's very interesting. In general, there are lots of similarities. Yes, yeah, posting about your life was 48% compared to, is it up here? Right down the bottom, 21.3%. There we go. Finding inspiration for things to do and buy is also a critical one for you to think about as digital marketers. Generally, where is that? Yeah, that's about the same sort of distance down, so finding inspiration for things to do and buy. So the difference, so when you're gathering this intelligence about your customers or your potential customers, it's important to bear in mind that you are all of one sort of age group, whereas the main survey is of lots of different age groups. So it really, and you can see that you've got different results, so it's about going and finding what your audience really cares about, why they use social media. So there's a few different categorizations of social media platforms, but it is always changing, because as you've seen, the way the different types of platforms that we use changes, and also those platforms change their purposes often, and they try and introduce more features, so it can change. So what we've got here are 3 different types of social networks. We've got social ones, which are used for connecting people through shared like fandom, in groups, through live chats and messaging. We've got multimedia, where people are sharing photos, videos and texts. And examples of those are things like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, Reddit. Plenty of Fish is like a dating platform in the UK, which you might not have, but it's kind of like a dating social network. Then we've got entertainment-focused ones, which are used for games and shopping, gaming, art, music, culture, etc. And some of the sites, so we also use Facebook for that, as well as WeChat. Goodreads, which is a thing where you share what books you're reading, and you can also write reviews of them. SoundCloud, where you can share audio. And then there's ones that are based on profiles. So the main feature of the network is about your profile and getting traction from that. So they'll have a wall that people will go look at. They might help your career, so you might have professional profiles, also your journals or your diaries. When social networks first started, LiveJournal was a very popular one, which was where people would just write their daily diary and others would go and read it. So some examples of these would be LinkedIn, very important one for your career. GoFundMe, where the whole point of it is you have a profile to try and raise money for yourself. And MyFitnessPal, which is all based around weight, not necessarily a very healthy one. So organisations really need to understand which social media platforms they want to go on, what the utility is that they want to offer their customers, what their customers want to see when they're on those social networks. So rather than just deciding to be on all social media platforms because you can, it's about thinking about which one's actually going to work with that company's objectives. Do they want their users of their product or service to form a community? Do they want them to share stories about the business? Or do they want to sell products or host events? So it's about thinking about those different reasons.